Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Bernie Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward children. I believe that our country's best days are still in front of us, but if those best days are to come, we need to change the direction of the country now, before it's too late. I intend to talk about important issues and topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. Please like, share, and subscribe. Our guest for episode 58 is Mike Guerin, Carroll County Commissioner, District 4. Commissioner Guerin grew up in the D.C. area and is the son of an immigrant. He attended the University of North Carolina at Charlotte and received his master's degree in public policy from the University of Maryland. He's a veteran and a former candidate for the Maryland House of Delegates. And also, he served one term as a member of the Carroll County Republican Central Committee. He's been married to his wife, Kristine, for 28 years. And now he has 3 kids, and he serves as a Carroll County Maryland Commissioner representing District 4. Without any further ado, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend, and thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Man, we've been planning this for a long time, and I'm just glad that you're taking the time to talk to the people, man. People need to hear from you. You're a county commissioner.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. So let me ask you, why did you decide to run for county commissioner?
Well, I ask myself that sometimes. In the early 2022, it became apparent that there weren't a lot of good candidates to run for the District 4. And I'm taking a look at that. I'm hearing from folks who are asking me if I'm considering running. And you know how it starts, and you do know how it starts. At first, it's no way, I would never do that. And then you realize, well, we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. And if not me, then who? And you and I have both gone through that. So I ran in the primary, had an opponent, and then was unopposed in the general election. District 4 is the southwestern portion of Carroll County, and I'm very fortunate to be a commissioner for what is probably the most conservative part of the county. We've had less development than the other 4 districts, very family oriented, very rural. It includes the town of Mannery, which is a wonderful town with some great people running it. The rest is history. I took office in December of 2022 and now trying to wrap up my second year of a 4-year term.
Standing. I got another question for you. Are you ready?
I am.
What's been your greatest challenge as a county commissioner?
It's interesting. I think my greatest challenge is the same challenge that's before all of us. Local elections, your county, your towns, your boards, your commissions, your cities, those elections matter so much. Local elections matter so much. And what people don't seem to realize is that our local governments have been on what I call autopilot for literally decades. The things that get people so frustrated, so upset about what's going on in Washington, D.C. with their federal government, mismanagement, bad decisions, money that's wasted on programs that are worthless, decisions that are made that literally are making it harder for families to survive. We know those things are going on in the swamp, Bernie. We are very well aware of that. In fact, you and I have had our experiences there. But what most people don't realize is they're going on within your local government as well. And I don't care how red that government is, those things are occurring. You've got bureaucracies there as well that are so entrenched. Again, no different than what you see in Washington, D.C. So I think one of the biggest challenges for me is the challenge for all of us, whether you're in a red state or a blue state, is how do you get people energized? How do you get people informed about, first of all, who's running for elections? Because I do think people are waking up. You and I have had that conversation before. They're waking up. They're awake. But, we're so focused on the national piece. We're all upset about Hunter Biden's laptop, but did you know your granddaughter's sharing a bathroom with a dude dressed like a lady? I bet you didn't know that. You're upset. Exactly. You're upset about the latest thing out of Washington, D.C., but your 6th grader can't read or write in their public school system. So there are so many challenges that face us, and getting people to wake up, getting people energized to get involved in the process is important. And it all starts with elections.
Yes.
It all starts with elections. People do not understand that sometimes, that once those elections take place, once those primaries are done, you're getting locked in. And those of us who live in blue states understand that much more than people that are living in red states. And I've done both, and so have you. So we're in the middle of that challenge. And it's the challenge, because if we can get people more informed, if we can get people to realize that these local elections matter, things can start to change. You vote for president and you're one vote out of 140 million, but you vote in your local election, whether it's for your town council or your county commission or your county executive, you can have an impact. And if you can get people energized, like Mr. Flowers is trying to do, you can have change, you can make change, you can affect change. And that has been my greatest challenge. And it's one that I'm working on. It's one that I've learned to deal with. It's one that I've got sort of a communications plan I'm trying to put together to reach as many people as possible, to keep people informed. But overall, I would say that is the greatest challenge. And it's one that we have to absolutely overcome. And it's one that our state GOP and the national GOP do not seem to recognize. They just don't seem to recognize that. Maybe it's not cool enough. Local politics isn't cool enough. Local elections aren't cool enough, but they're the ones that matter the most. So I think that is the challenge right now for anybody in my position at the local level.
You know, I was going to ask you about your greatest concern, but it sounds like you've covered it, unless you want to throw some more at it.
Well, so, and the other thing people have to understand is, once, you've got to get involved in those local elections, but then of course you have to pay attention to what your elected officials are doing. If your elected official truly cares about the people that he or she represents, there almost has to be a love for your constituents. If that person cares for their constituents, they will do the right thing. But sometimes you don't get that. In fact, you get the impression that local elected officials, and we see it all the time on the federal level, don't really care a whole lot. And I tell people all the time that being a county commissioner is the easiest job in the world if you don't care about getting things done.
Right.
And that still holds true today. So case in point, here in Maryland, we are in a blue state. There are not many elected Republicans in Maryland. I've never counted them up, but if you take out the very few we have in the General Assembly, in the Senate and the Maryland House of Delegates, it can't be more than 30 or 40 elected Republicans in the state of Maryland.
You can count them on two hands.
You could probably count them on two hands. So what does that tell you? Bernie, you're in a fight. There's very few of you. You can't afford to have people who are not willing to jump in those trenches. You can't have people who aren't willing to be defiant, to not be afraid, to show courage. That's really what it's all about. So if you're an elected official in a state like Maryland, with what we're dealing with now, which essentially is an assault on self-governance, home rule. I don't care what county you live in, that's happening. Now, you might have people elected in your county who are fine with it, and that's a shame. But in counties like Carroll County, if you're an elected official, you're a Republican in the state of Maryland, and you aren't fighting that, and you're not willing to stand up to that, then do us all a favor and just resign and let somebody else take over, because we are one of few, and we all need to be on that battlefield. We all need to be in those trenches.
Yes,
So,
sir.
that's sort of an in-house challenge or concern of mine, but it really does still go back to these local elections. No one even knows who's on their school board. No one even knows who's on their town councils. And if we did, you could vet people, you could impact those elections. And it's a great place to start, because this term autopilot I've talked about, it really holds true throughout the country. And what happens if you keep something on autopilot too long?
It crashes.
Exactly. It crashes. And that's what's happened. It's already happened. It's already happened. So that's sort of a crusade of mine, I think, is to try to get people to understand that. And it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of work left to do. And a lot of it is technology. A lot of it is finding ways to reach people. A lot of it is particular, IT platforms. Now we have SMS texting. We've got all these platforms to do that with. But how do you get that fire started? It is a really tough one. But again, I know people are already awake. They're already seeing how bad things truly are on the federal and state levels. So it's just a matter of getting them engaged. And that has always been the challenge. And I think it will be for as long as we're trying to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. But we can't give up, right?
We can't give up. So with all that said, the floor is now yours. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience?
Well, again, so we are in the midst of that election season I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, we just had primaries. We just had our primary season, as you're well aware. But now we're looking at a general election in November. And if you live in the state of Maryland, you might think there's not much to get involved with, but you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. We've got some House races now. We've got some Senate races. And of course, there's a presidential race. Donald Trump will be on the ballot. Will he win Maryland? Very unlikely, but that should not stop you from exercising your vote and getting out there and trying to send a message.
Right.
Again, people have to understand that, again, looking at sort of these national issues that get everybody so fired up. Everybody's so fired up about what goes on. You turn on the news at night, hopefully it's Fox News or Real America's Voice or Newsmax or something of the sort, but everybody gets upset and then they turn it off and they go to bed upset. And what does that accomplish?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. We have all done that. In fact, we're probably you and I probably do it every day. I mean, even in our situations, even in our positions, we probably do it every day.
Yeah.
And my plea really to people is to take a look at the world that's right outside your front door, because that is your world.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't let some guy come onto your front yard and turf it, would you? No. Well, you wouldn't let some stranger come into your house and walk into your daughter's bedroom, would
Oh,
you? No. We're letting that happen, essentially. Metaphorically, we are letting that happen every single day. And where are all the, and again, I think you'll appreciate this. Where are all the dudes? Where are all the other guys like us out there? I appreciate your flag bumper sticker. I appreciate your "Don't Tread on Me" license plate. But if that's where you're stopping right now, if that's as far as you're willing to go in order to protect your family, your livelihood, your children, your daughter, then my message to those guys is, I love you, but you're not doing enough. You need to do more. You need to do more. And maybe that's a way to try to appeal to people. I don't know. But at some point, we've all got to understand what's at stake. And there is a tremendous amount at stake. And you and I have talked about that.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And we will continue to talk about it because we ain't stopping.
We can't, right? And we are in the situation where we simply can't stop.
Right.
There's so much at stake, and I know we hear that every election cycle. And maybe it's true. Every single election seems to be the most important one, but nobody can argue that the things that are happening right now in our country and the state of Maryland are a direct assault on our ability to continue with our families, continue not just living in the state of Maryland, but whatever happened to the idea of freedom. It is not just a bumper sticker. It's not a cliche. So I have boiled all that down to the fact that people, and for my part, and we've had this conversation before. You and I had this conversation a long time ago, and you actually brought it up. No, I didn't, but this local election issue, getting involved is paramount at this point.
Well, the thing is that you have been a man of your word and you have followed up with giving up your time and talents. And I'm totally appreciative of that. And that's why I've been after you to come on the podcast. So with that said, how can people reach you if they need to?
Well, there's a couple different ways to reach me. I do have a website that if you go to, you can sign up for newsletters and things like that, which, by the way, I mentioned earlier, communication is so important. I mean, you've learned that in your political life, you learn that in your military life. Communication is key. And let's face it, the more technology, the more advanced we get, it seems like the worse we get at communicating with each other. So you can go to my website at mike4district4.com. That's the number 4, and sign up for newsletters, which again, I'm developing a more robust communications plan as we speak. I'm on Facebook as well. And you can always send me an email at mike4district4.com, and that's just the number 4. And I do read my emails, and I love to get emails. And right now, and within the county, we're involved with so many different issues, and most of them deal with the state's overreach and a direct assault on our home rule and our self-governments, whether we're talking about marijuana, we're talking about solar projects, we're talking about the so many rules and regulations that come down. There are so many things going on in the county that I'm just simply trying to keep up with them and get word out to people. So, they stay informed, and it's hard, right? I mean, people in my district, and I think throughout the whole country, I mean, people are just trying to work. Our side, if you will, if I can say our side, we're getting up early, and you know where I'm going with this, Bernie. We're getting up early. We're getting our kids to daycare. We're working. We're coming home. We're trying to be a good husband. We're trying to be a good wife. We're trying to be good grandparents and uncles and husbands and wives. And we're just working our tails off trying to survive. We're not paid protesters. We don't, on the weekends, we're going to, we're volunteering, or we're going to basketball games or softball games, or we're doing things around the house because we don't want to pay.
County commissioner work.
Or we're doing county commissioner work, yes, which has turned into a full-time job, but I should have known better. I knew that was coming. But the point being that people in our situation, people on our side, if you will, that we're out there working hard, trying to make ends meet. And we don't, they don't have time to log in every night. They don't have time to just, get in as involved as maybe they'd even like. So I completely understand that. So the onus is on people like myself and people like yourself, you're already doing your part, is to just get word out. And that's all we can do right now. And then just keep at it and hope that the people that are awake decide that maybe enough is enough. You and I can't believe that people haven't gotten to that point already, but maybe they are.
And there's a lot of apathy out there, but you're right. The best thing we can do is get the word out, get people like you out in front of everybody, get your name out there. So the next time there's an opportunity for one of us to run for major office, your name will be out there. And I'm going to do everything I can to support you. You know that. I told you that a long time ago.
You've been very consistent. We met years ago, and you've never changed your tune. So I really appreciate that consistency and passion and caring about what's going on with the country. Never been a question with you, my friend.
All right, brother. Well, look, I am honored to have had you on the podcast. I want to make you a returning champion. That means you get to come back whenever you want to. And
I would love to come back at another time because, again, we will have plenty to talk about, unfortunately, as we go forward.
It ain't going away. But, man, you're doing a great service to the community, and I'm just proud of you. I mean, young guys like you, I mean, I'm old compared to you. And, you could, with all the things you got going on, wife, family, maintaining a home, that's enough. But you dig into your repertoire and you give a little bit more, and all of us are going to have to give a little bit more. So again, brother, thank you for thank you for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure and it's my honor, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Take care, brother.
Thank you. You take care. Thanks a lot.
Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Liberty Arise Media, Fallback Productions, and other podcasters. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and to this channel. Be sure to get your copy of my book, Black Values Matter, available on Amazon or as an ebook on Audible or on Apple Books. And also, remember, it's okay to disagree. But if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility from ourselves and our fellow citizens. Thank you for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. See you next week.